Hey, 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 welcome to I Have Something to Say, but not so much because these two amazing, powerful women, Miri, my friend,
Sister, I thought.
sister,
Yes.
my other sister, Laura. We really excited about the show. So, how you doing?
I couldn't be better. When I'm with people I love, it's everything.
Well, thanks.
My pleasure.
How about you?
I was talking about Laura, but
You know,
Woo! Yes.
okay, go ahead.
And I am doing wonderful too. And I just love being in the presence of my sister over here and having her come visit and just great energy. And anyway, so Miri.
yes.
Oh, really. So, I was thinking that
a snippet of what goes on here.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's only fair for them to
I know.
see what we put
I know.
through.
That's right.
I'm going to drink my coffee.
Yes.
Good.
Go ahead. Anything else you want to
no,
say?
it's okay. I'll interrupt
Yeah.
you.
This is supposed to be a serious show, but I don't think
We
it's
can be
going to.
serious.
I didn't get the memo.
Oh, who knew?
I didn't even know I was in the show.
Well, you did.
No, I didn't.
If you're in my house, you're in the show.
Okay.
You know that.
I was here for the coffee that I brought, by the way.
Well, I have coffee.
I know,
You
I
just
know.
didn't like it.
I know.
It's bitter.
Yeah.
According to you.
Yeah.
Well, when
I have
it's-
girls' coffee.
Girls' coffee.
Yeah.
You got that right.
Is it instant?
Yeah. And-
Yes.
And it has like mocha flavor.
Yes.
So I'll share
See?
with you.
Yeah.
Okay, after the show.
It's not saying that Starbucks isn't good. Starbucks is very good, but
Let me. You talk. Hey Jerry. Hey Salute. Hey Susan. Hey Michelle. Hey Marina. Hey Carolyn. Help me! I'm surrounded by estrogen.
well, you asked for it.
First question. Why don't people take gratitude as something serious? I think it's become a fad that we talked about last night. So
Yes.
you go first.
No, I think that we go through phases that something becomes in. It's in to say those things, and you hear it again and again. I have to even say the word authentic. It's
Mhm.
already starting to get into my nerves because it became in to say that.
Oh yeah.
But do people live it?
Right.
That's a whole different story. And the same thing with gratitude. And so it is that. But I think that the people who figure out to live in gratitude within their adversity are the people who are really living in gratitude.
Example.
When you are having financial difficulties, but you are able to see every other blessing and have faith that things are temporary and that it doesn't define who you are as a human being, and you're able to see all the other blessings that you have in your life, and you don't become bitter and angry and short-tempered with the people around you. That's when you really live in gratitude.
Montana said gratitude is the key.
It is.
So tell the story that you told last night about dropping something out of your pocket.
Okay. So lessons from my father. He had given me $200 bill. I just came to the US for college. This was 32, 33 years ago, a long time ago. $200 was a lot. Yeah. I just aged myself. Thank you. Still younger than you. But going back to the serious stuff.
Yes, thank you.
So my father gave me this money and I put it in my pocket of my jacket. And when I was crossing the street, probably I put my hand in the pocket and the money fell off. I lost the money. And I was so upset, so upset. I was also embarrassed by my father. I always gave importance to his work.
Mhm.
And my father said, don't spend a second being upset. He said it to me almost like it would be a sin for me to be upset that I lost the money. And he said, it didn't belong to us. It didn't belong to you, and it belonged to somebody else. And that person is going to find it. Mm-hmm. So you actually need to be happy that this is how the money went to that person, because you could have gotten into an accident. You could have, something could have happened that would cost you the same $200, because this money wasn't yours. It wasn't yours. So when you lost it, it was the easiest way to transfer to its right owner.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
It is amazing. And I had other opportunities in my life that something happened and those words came back to me. I went to a gym. I left my bag inside my car. When I came out of the gym, they had broken my window and they took my wallet and they took my money. And when I didn't have cash and the credit cards were stopped. So it was really the damage, the cost of the window. And when I came home, I realized something very interesting. I'm going to share. I never shared this with you, but I'm going to share this with you. I called the company to give me the quote to fix the window, and it was $180 and a few cents. Mm-hmm. And I paid, and I went to clean my table. And when I organized my table, I found an envelope with a check inside that I had written to give as a donation. And I forgot because it got mixed up with all my paperwork. It was in the envelope, it was stamped, but I never put it in the mailbox. And I thought I did. When I opened that envelope, it was a check for $180 that I was supposed to give it. And obviously I mailed the same day, but I was able to see the message that when something is not ours, we will lose it. And we just need to remember that and then be grateful for the message. And I could have been assaulted or something, right? But it wasn't. I was at the gym. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. It was orchestrated with love because I didn't really suffer, and I was able to get that message. And that is living with gratitude.
So thanks for sharing. What's your take on?
Well, and for that too, we have to be present enough to see the gratitude in type of situations like that, because many times we're too busy worrying about the past or thinking or reflecting on the past and having those bad memories accumulate in our heads, or we're too busy worrying about the future. And so we miss these major moments, like when you reflected on that and said, oh my gosh, $180 that was now tucked away here, and the window is $180, and all these situations that happen to us on a daily basis that we do not see because we're too busy in our heads, forward or backwards.
Yes. So
the biggest thing for me is to focus more on staying in the present moment. And with that, I'm able to have much more of a true authentic gratitude, because you're able to see all these miracles that are happening over and over and over again. Yeah. And it takes intention too. It takes a true intention, because like you said, it becomes a fad. Like, oh, all you have to do is be grateful. You just have to think of all the good things. And we can say that all day long. Yep. We can say, oh yeah, there's this and this and this, but to say and to feel are two completely different things. Like I remember when I was going through my eating disorder, I, for years, thought I was fat, thought I was ugly, thought I wasn't worthy of X, Y, or Z. And I remember and I'd been doing a lot of work my whole life, from my early teens all the way up to around 25 years old. And it took from early teens up to 25 to be able to look into the mirror and finally say, you're beautiful, and mean it. And I was actually the heaviest I'd ever been. And so It's like, it's the constant intention to want to be better, to do better. And it doesn't mean that it necessarily happens overnight, but if you stay consistent in creating that authenticity inside of you, to have the intention to want more, to be more, to give yourself that love, to see the clear picture, that's what made all the difference, at least for me. Mm-hmm. And gratitude is a big one. I think self-love is key first. Gratitude comes along with that and ties the bow.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody that is struggling with being grateful. Maybe they had a stroke. Maybe they have aphasia. Maybe, like me, when I first had my stroke, I was so pissed that I couldn't be grateful. Or I didn't think I could be grateful. What's to be grateful for? And all of a sudden, it hit me that God has saved me for something great, has something better in store for me. So, what will you say to people that have a hard time being grateful? And what will you say?
Well, I'd first tell them to start practicing seeing the lesson before the chaos that's going on in whatever situation that is, because it's easy to direct your thoughts to the negative and what's going on, but instead of focusing on that bad situation that you find yourself in, to say, okay, what is the lesson that I can learn from this situation? And you're able to then broaden your vision instead of just the laser focus of negativity that our minds go to. I think, what's the percentage in like negative thoughts over positive thoughts?
You have to replace one negative thought with 10 positive, I can't say that word today, but positive thoughts to overact that things. Can you read that? Montana said something.
Past things that was good, being into the now. Being into the now. Mindfulness, she says. Miri, not surprised that happened to you. Miri, that story is mind cycle.
I think that you can look for good possibilities. I think that people are so used to seeing, what does it mean for me right now? And sometimes we're in such a dark place that we don't see the right now. But we are such creative beings. We can imagine and create something. Well, what is the possibility? This could bring this and that and that and that. When you start making a list and you write it down, what could come from something, and maybe they didn't happen yet, but you start getting so excited about the possibilities of what could become, it completely changes the frequency that you are from being so upset and disappointed in such a dark place, from being excited for what could come from it.
You know, there's an old saying when it comes to mental illness and depression that it's hard to remember your initial objective was to drain the swamp when you're up to your ass in alligators. And so when I found myself up to my ass in alligators, couldn't talk, couldn't read, couldn't write, it was just hard to push through that. And I'm so thankful that my mom had the common sense to call me out and to say, you have everything you need to get better. But I know the stroke business is hard. It's not impossible, but it's hard. The aphasia business is too. You have to work and work and work. You see it all the time.
Yes.
Being around me. Sometimes it's just hard, but it's not impossible.
Right. I want you to know, when I was in the hospital with my husband, when he had a stroke, we were 4 days in the hospital, and it was over the Jewish New Year. And we left our family. Right. They were alone without us. And I was very nervous, and I was alone, and didn't have contact with anybody because we don't use the phone over the holidays. So I was there alone. And I said to myself like that, I can be the one who's going to pull my husband down, or I could be the one who's going to pull him up. And then when I need to cry, I'm going to leave the room and I'm going to do that. And what I did for those 4 days is I repeated the same sentence over and over again. Every time that he looked like he's falling into this abyss of depression, I kept saying, we're so lucky. We are so lucky.
Go ahead, talk.
Yeah. And then when you change that whole, because I started telling him it could have been so much worse, right? You're walking, you're talking, you're getting dressed. And actually, I brought with me to the hospital a white button-down shirt
Mhm.
and pants, like dress
Yep.
pants.
Yeah.
And he got dressed, and he's all connected to all kinds of machines because his blood pressure was so high. He was connected, and we couldn't walk without the machine. So we were walking around carrying with us all kinds of the IV and the machines. And people were telling us, I've never seen a patient so well dressed because I refused to have him with the robe.
I got it.
And we sometimes put the hospital robe, and I'm talking it figuratively,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
right? We put it, it's almost like we accept our demise
Yep.
and we stay there. But we can dress up and we can put up a smile and start saying, I'm lucky, and choose to see the blessings of what could get. Let me tell you something. If it wasn't for my husband's stroke, I would have never met you.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well, I
And-
never met you
and
either.
and
Yeah.
so the whole this community, so many people
Yes.
here became part of my life,
I know.
like on a daily basis.
Salute.
Marina, salute.
Marina, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in touch with them every day. They wouldn't have come into my life if this didn't happen. So we can choose to see the blessings.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
You know, I feel so much more in tune with uh, what my calling is. I just love to teach. So keeping with that thought, what would you say a person needs to do to develop gratefulness, self-love, be grateful, but how do you get started?
okay, so for me, I'll tell you about self-love. We're very tough on ourselves.
Mhm.
When we're tough on ourselves, in a way, produces growth, right? If we are honest and we say
Yeah.
we're not so good at something, we can strive to become better.
Right.
But if we keep talking to ourselves in a harsh way, it puts us so much down that we can't make a change. So what I started doing was I added the but every time that I say something bad about myself.
Mhm.
So for example, if I say, "Ah, why did I have to eat the entire loaf of bread?"
I tell myself that all the time.
That happens weekly. So I say, but
Sorry.
I say, but I'm so kind. I did A, B, and C. That was beautiful. Or, I am so resourceful, so I can,
So you balance.
I balance. Because of balance, then it's not bringing you down, because you can say, okay, so I need a little bit more self-control.
Yeah.
But you
Mhm.
know what? I'm amazing at that. So you always need to balance the bad. It's not that we shouldn't criticize ourselves,
Correct.
but we should criticize ourselves in a positive way, with love, and in a way that is constructive. Doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense
Yeah.
to just put ourselves down. But I do that. Anything bad that I say about myself, I have to counteract with something good.
My mother's mother said, you need to give yourself guidance, not be critical. Give yourself guidance
Love that.
to
Me
get
too.
better.
Love that.
Guidance to
Mhm.
get better. If you guide yourself to get better,
I love that.
you will create a more meaningful you moving forward. It just was amazing. Give yourself guidance. It's easy to self criticize, it's
Mhm.
easy to beat yourself up. It's easier to carry that bag of,
Yeah. I
and
know.
set it down, but it's more meaningful to give yourself guidance.
Yes. I want to say something about the but thing, that I say something that works also with other people. When I'm critical of somebody else, I'm not allowed to say anything bad about somebody or think something bad without saying the but. So
Mm.
it changes my perceptions of other people.
Mhm.
And we tend to be critical to ourselves, but many times we're also critical of those around. We judge people.
Yes.
When
Yep.
we judge people, we also in a way feel that disempowered, right? Because why didn't I get a better service? I'm the
Mm.
poor person, right? Well, but maybe this person went through something difficult this
Yeah.
morning. I need to give them more love.
right?
So
Grace. I got to say that all the time. You know,
Yeah.
give me some grace. I'll give you some grace. It's a wonderful thing to give away.
Yes.
Grace.
And the other thing
Yes.
that I really love, I love the butt, and I've used the butt several times myself, but I also love more like dissecting and investigating where that pain is coming from within. And so also on top of the butt, I used why. So like if I feel ugly, like why do I feel ugly? And then what other things in my past have made me feel this way, and really digging in and asking the right questions to ourselves, so that way we can see where the core of it is coming from, because until then it's really hard to start building the house from the foundation when you don't know where the root of that foundation is stemming from.
Love it.
And so that's what I found to be extremely helpful on top of the butt, because you have to have the balance.
Oh,
You
Thanks,
are
Loris.
amazing.
She is.
Bo.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, Bo.
one other thing we talked about a lot, when you have been inundated with things that didn't go your way, how did you pick yourself up? How did you?
Investigating, a lot of investigating, because for me it's so easy to just ignore the root of everything, because it's the reason why I get so caught up in the emotional state of whatever it is that triggered that emotion, and to the point where I just want to numb out, not think about it. I just want to ignore, shove under the rug. But there's only so much you can shove under the rug before you trip over the rug, right? And that's
Great point.
That's the point where I know I need to start digging out all the dirt. And even though it makes me feel in that time like I'm going 3 steps backwards, I know that cleaning that is going to make the forward momentum that much smoother.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Oops. I am trying to get Brooke Allen. Well.
There you go.
Hey, guys.
Hi,
Hello, Brooke. So, sweeping under the rug, I love that analogy. You trip on the rug, because we tend to have the ability to just turn our back on the things that needs to be worked on the most. I'll get to it another day.
Yep.
It stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. Pretty soon, you dig yourself a rut, a grave with both ends dug out, and you can't see over the side.
Yep.
And it just helps to be grateful in a good way. Have you ever sat down, just an interesting question, enlisted all your values that you hold dear, and say one grateful thing about each value?
Yes. I actually took a course with Dr. DeMartini, and I was mentioning to you this morning about figuring out what we had a whole conversation without
weren't
you being
involved,
present.
Oh
to
gosh.
figure out what are my values, because when you live congruent with your values, you live happy because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And we were discussing how you figure out, and in your morning show this morning, actually I started talking to Laura about it, because I mentioned something that you said in the show that what.
Hey, what about praying for me? I'm stuck in the middle of all this.
Carla knows. She's on our side.
Hey, Carla.
Carla, you got that right.
Oh my God.
Smart.
The quiet guy.
Yeah.
The only one that doesn't get any word in. But he can dance.
He did.
He can.
He already
He can.
dance.
go
But
ahead.
talking about the values, I did a whole exercise and I wrote my values, and I realized right away something very interesting, that I was doing a few things on my day-to-day that I hated, and they were not at all part of my values. And I said to myself, this is what I need to figure out this year, 2021. How can I not be doing those things? because they are not congruent with my values. I need to stop them to live more in line with what I hold really dear.
Yeah.
And I did make a list, and I realized a lot of my daily actions that are not at all. But I want to say something about that, and I've spoken about this before. It doesn't mean that you stop doing things that you have to do that you just don't like, but you need to figure out, and I'll give you an example that I gave many times before. I hate unloading the dishwasher. Don't like it. Don't enjoy it. I don't mind doing laundry, but I don't like unloading the
I
dishwasher.
love it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't like it. So I had to, but I still have to do it.
Yeah.
Right? I have to do it. It's part, people help me in my house, they help me, but I still have to do it.
Right.
But what is congruent with my values is being kind. So every time I go to the dishwasher, I say to myself,
I'm going to be kind to those dishes.
No, I can't. I can't.
Well,
I can't
just
either.
I'm doing an act of kindness for my family.
Yes.
Because if I didn't do it.
Oh,
Okay,
little dish.
does anybody
little
speak
dish. I'm
Portuguese?
going to be kind to that dish.
Does anybody speak Portuguese in the group? I'm very curious.
Ah, no,
Because I'm gonna say,
Just gonna say what you how
I'm
you
gonna
really
say
feel.
chato. Okay,
So nice to be kind to a dish.
Oh my gosh.
I will never hear the end of that.
No.
Nope.
Never. Okay.
Go ahead.
Zip it.
Okay. How about you? Have you ever made a list? For me, I was really good at defining my values, but somebody asked me a question: how do you live in accordance with your values in a grateful way? That changed everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was living my values, but not in a grateful way. That little thing on the end. So,
Well, I have not done that full list thing of values yet. But I make lots of lists consistently, and I like to speak out loud to myself, talk to myself. It's pretty cool. Talk with God, just walk around. Because I feel like with the vibrations of a
What?
take
Thanks, Carla.
Okay.
hey,
We love you.
This is like his number, like 50,000.
well, I have only had 18 shots of espresso this morning, so I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I don't
Actually,
know.
I don't know if you're
I don't
kidding.
know. I know. We believed you.
I know.
You're so funny. You're so funny.
But I do think there is a power in the vibrations that when we speak out loud, and especially with ourselves, and if you put on some good music, that whatever makes you feel a deeper connection to self, because then at that point, I feel it carries me to a more truthful voice within myself.
Yes.
And with that, I'm able to answer certain questions. If I feel I'm not in true alignment with my values, it's just I didn't physically write it down, but it leads me to the truth of self, and then you have to take the action steps from that, which is the hard part. But when you have that conviction, like I know now that
Yes.
I need to make a change in my life,
Yeah.
that is the hard part. And that's what kind of pushes you,
You can't
to the
run
action.
from yourself, you know?
Correct. Right.
When you're speaking out loud, you can't. Are you going to hide?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Nowhere.
It's like
to
the
hide.
rug. You hide a little bit at a time,
Yeah.
but then you can't hide anymore.
Okay. One other thing. How do you maintain a positive mindset when everything is going wrong?
I focus on my blessings, and there are so many blessings. I spoke in my group that I don't allow myself to write the big blessings. I don't write, I woke up, I have a new day. I don't do that.
I had to interrupt. She said, Miri, I like it. Be kind to the dishes.
You're so screwed after this show.
Yeah.
It doesn't end here, guys. It's going to go on.
Go ahead.
What did you ask?
I know, I forget too.
I said,
How do you stay
how
positive?
do you stay positive when everything is going to crap?
Right. So I write every day things that I'm grateful for, and I am not allowed to. This is a rule that I placed on myself. I cannot write anything big. I have to write little things. What it
What do you
does,
mean?
I can only, like, if the milk coffee proportion was fantastic, then that's what I'm gonna write down. Like little tiny things.
Okay.
I cleaned my shoe and it
I was
looks
kind
like
to my
new.
dishes.
Yeah, exactly. My dishes served me well, you know.
Exactly.
So
Nice
but-
dish.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh, put
So
your coffee
yes,
down.
exactly. So what happens is that it teaches me to see blessings all the time because I'm exercising my brain to look for blessings. And if I'm really down, I have this notebook full of blessings, and I can just go back and I can see, wow, I found a great parking spot in the shade. You know, I came out of the store and there was no poop on the car, on the window. You know, the birds didn't do their things over my car. But whatever it is, when you start looking for tiny little blessings, you see really the magical life that you
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
And you are in awe because the reality is that there is everything, like the chances are everything could go bad, but so much.
Hey now.
So much is good. And we just take it for granted because we really
So
think
much.
that we're entitled.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is entitlement. We
Mhm.
believe that we deserve a fantastic life. We believe that we deserve an easy life.
Mhm.
But the reality is that we are only here to work and expand and grow,
Right.
right? That's why we came. We
Right.
didn't come here just for easy. We
Right.
came here for hard.
Because our struggles are our greatest blessings. All
So-
the struggles
Oh,
that
yes.
I've had in my past, I now look back on today and think I would not be the person that I am today without that.
Yeah.
Laura, I have interviewed for 3. Yeah, I'm not talking to you right now because
Well,
of the
no,
dishes.
you interviewed me too.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, I interviewed both of you.
It's not always about you, though.
I know. I know.
But
It's seldom about me in this. Boom, 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 boom.
It's okay.
Windshield
we still care
wiper.
about you.
Go ahead.
But for 3 years, I've been interviewing thrivers.
Mhm.
Every single one of them is grateful for their adversity. They all say that they would not want to go back to the person that they were before. This is
yeah.
unbelievable.
Mhm.
I've interviewed people that went through tremendous trauma.
Yep.
To hear them say that, I mean, you know, I can always say, okay, so this happened to me. But I've had people. One woman that I interviewed, she was run over by a truck, an ice cream truck, when she was 6, and she lost a leg.
Mm.
She lived the rest of her life without a leg. Do you know what she told me on our interview? That she is actively looking for the person who ran over her to tell him that it's okay, that she had a wonderful life, and that she's grateful to him because she would have never accomplished what she accomplished in her life
Yeah.
if it wasn't for him, and that he was a blessing. She told me, you know, it haunts me that he must be suffering all of these years
Right.
because he thinks that he hurt this little girl, and in reality, he gave him a life.
Right.
Think about all the things that you have had happen in your life, and you worried, and most things do pass.
And resolve themselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. And what do you do to answer the same question? How do you get your mind right when everything is going wrong?
Well, it's a mind shift, and I always focus on, okay, if I'm feeling down, usually I'm in the victim state,
Mhm.
and so it's all me, why, wah. And so I need to then make that shift, that conscious shift, to leadership, so that way I know I can show up for myself and start taking those necessary actions to be more positive, to think with more gratitude,
Yep.
to have that more mindfulness of all the things to be grateful for. Because as Miri said, we have so much so much to be grateful for that we tend to miss focusing too much on the things that are going wrong and not even seeing the blessings in those things that are going wrong.
Exactly. Everything has the tendency to work out in the
Always
long
does.
run.
Always.
It does. And when I personally believe that the way you start your day has a lot of effect the way you end up with your day. There's some things we can do, uh, like speaking out loud, being grateful, meditating, praying out loud for the things we want. And you're trying to help me with that. And I thank you for that. And Levy has talked to me about that. Ari, your Montana, your husband has talked to me about that. It's just praying out loud for things you want and things you need to be thankful for, and having a real conversation with God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Helps so much.
And I always say that sometimes we're angry with God, right? And I always say like that, don't beat yourself up, because you only get angry with people that you have a real honest relationship. And it's okay sometimes to be angry. If you 10 times more give blessing to in gratefulness, and if you appreciate the gifts that you get. Sometimes it's okay to say, why did that have to happen? Show me the way. I'm not happy right now. It's okay to have that relationship. But when you're speaking like that, I believe that God sees, okay, we are in a relationship. It's a two-way relationship. So yeah, I'm gonna guide you, and I'm gonna show you why you had to go through it. And those are the most amazing opportunities, is when you get to see the reason why you had to go through something. Not always we get that gift, but it's such a gift.
I like asking simple questions. What do you really want in your life?
I want to amplify my voice to give people hope that there is joy after adversity. It meaning even within the adversity. But a lot of people feel the darkness and they don't see that they can wake up another day and there is going to be joy and lightness of heart. My biggest value, I have chills. Look at this.
I can.
It is so deep from my soul.
Wow.
Wow.
You thinking about those
I,
dishes?
I'm gonna smack him. I really will.
One of us will at one point or
After
another
the
in
camera
this-
stops
in this time
rolling.
frame.
But that is
Still.
it's in and I feel, and I have to tell you something, because I actually discussed this with Fally, the woman that I interviewed yesterday, that I told her that I feel that my voice is being cut. I feel strangled in a little bit of a way, because I am not feeling that I can expand my voice, that I don't feel like I'm being loud to reach a tremendous amount of people, that I have this desire in me to take people and hug. I'm a hugger. Laura knows I'm a hugger.
You know what that is? No, you know what that is? That's the struggle that you're feeling that comes right before success.
Amen.
I'm telling you.
Amen. But I spoke to her, and she did a hypnotherapy session with me, because this is such, I have it here and it needs to come out. And it's interesting, because I was telling yesterday to Levy that I don't even necessarily feel that it has to be my voice or my message, but I have to be the facilitator for the right voices. I am not, people may not know because they see me here on TV, but I'm more of an introvert and shy. I don't have that need to be in the spotlight. But what I want to accomplish is very big inside of me. Yeah. And I am okay bringing in the talent, bringing in the right voices, but my desire to hug people and transfer this love is so strong that it's everything.
Yeah. Because even
What
just
about
a simple
you?
hug can change everything for somebody
Marina
else.
is saying it will come.
What about you?
For
What do you really want in life? Like asking simple questions.
Well, first off, I want to serve God. I want to do right and show up with love and to bring, like Miri said, that tremendous amount of joy and love that God has given me to show and be that facilitator to show other people the power of God and what it can bring into your life and the joy and the happiness that comes along with
Yeah.
it. So when everything in life hits the fan, you know what you have. I love this saying. Beth Moore said it in one of her studies, and she was saying, well, all the fears that we have. So hers in this situation was, what if my husband cheats on me? And then she's like, and then God just told me, well, what would you do?
Mm.
And she's like, well, I'd be really upset and I'd be so mad and pissed off. And I would probably cry for weeks and weeks on end. And she's like, and then God would tell me, okay, then what?
Mm.
Well, then I would just throw things around. I'd put my face on the floor and I would, not contact any of my friends and anything else. And God says to her again, then what? And then she's like, well, then I'd probably try to, get back into ministry and I would, be really pissed off still, but I would still work it. And then he'd be like, then what? She's like, well, then I would overcome it and I'd probably start talking to my family and kids again. Then what? And the thing is, it's just everything that we go through, it's still going to come up the way that it's meant to.
Yeah.
And we're going to overcome that. So whenever I feel that tension of that fear, it's like, okay, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? If that happens, then what? Then what? Then what?
I love that.
I do too. And it's
Yeah.
pulled me through so much stuff. Me and my friend Kim, every time we get a negative thought or idea, it's then, but God, because it's going to pull us through it. And that's where my heart tugs, is that I want other people to have that relief in knowing that in the end, we're all going to be okay, no matter what happens in our lives.
You two, my good friend Miri.
Friend again?
Sister.
I
I've never been a
She's gonna try
sister,
now.
but I'm going to try.
I mean, you can borrow Jerry's shoes, right?
I could.
Just kidding,
But
Jerry.
listen, when I first met you and I saw your video with Richard Jr., I was just struck, not by the singing, although that was amazing, not by Richard Jr. singing and his sense of humor. I was struck by the love you looked at him with.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it came through the camera. You looked at him with so much love and so much appreciation for what he brings. And he brings a lot.
So much.
And when I first met you and you first contacted me, Miri, and we talked, I was just struck by your story and your willingness to share unabashedly what you had been through. And to write that book, that the book I read, it was just so honest, so brilliant.
Brilliantly.
No,
Brutally.
Brutally.
Well,
I
brilliantly
believe
works too. But I was just struck by that, your love of all things, that just, I was grateful for both of you. So what would you say to somebody that's having a hard time getting through this thing that we're going through? We've been through 2020. It's a lot. And what would you say to anybody that's trying to find some sense of reason in this whole thing we've been through? I believe just focus on what you can do, focus on God, focus on the things you can control, not the things you can't control. It will wear you out and depress you. But what would you say to anybody that's listening to be grateful in the middle of this crisis and how to do that.
So this is exactly what I was going to say. We don't have the ability to control anything that's out of our control. When the pandemic started and I realized also what happened to my business in the fashion business, right? It completely pulled the ground
Yeah.
from under my
Yeah.
business. I said to myself, and this is what I want to say. I said to myself, I have two choices. One is to be so upset and disappointed that everything that I built got destroyed in 3 seconds, and I can sit in that and I can talk about that
Yep.
100 times, and I can just be miserable, right? Or I can give myself a challenge to make this the best year of my life. Can I do it? Can I not? So what I did in March was I sat down and I said, okay, my business that I grew so beautifully, and this happens. So now what happens? I have more time, right? Stores are not buying, I'm not producing, I'm not designing new clothing. So I said, what am I going to do with the time? What are my dreams that I can control, that I'm not dependent on anybody else? It was to write a book. It was to get good endorsements. It was to get a good forward. It was to meet amazing people. It was to start a new show. And what I did is I accomplished every one of my goals. Every one of my
Yep.
goals.
Yep.
Because I was very intentional about choosing between crying for the failure that happened, crying for the loss that happened, or making the best freaking lemonade from the lemons that I was dealt with. And I was focused on that. So focused, meaning I would not lose a minute in my day, and not do what it was going to lead me to succeed in my goals. 2021, I went in November to plan, and I made a decision. And I don't know if other people have done it, but I'll tell you what I did it. I bought a journal, and I had my journal in mid-November, and I am writing down all my goals. So I write my goals for the year and what are 5 sub goals that if I accomplish them, I'm closer to my main goal, right? And I did that. I went to a park and I sat there by myself and I wrote it all down. And I said to myself, I have a choice to wait till January 1st or to start December 1st.
Exactly.
And I started my 2021 goals in December.
You
on
bought
December 1st.
yourself a month.
I bought myself a month.
Yeah.
And I'm so much more. And I started, when people started January, and by the time the holidays were over and the weekend was over, to me, they were in middle of January.
Yeah.
They missed like a whole beginning. I was on a roll, you know?
That's good.
And
So what would you say to the same question?
Well, ironically, Miri and I had gone through something very similar in the fact that we had built our businesses, and mine was in obstacle course racing. So I'd travel all over the place racing and competing, and which was great. I did it for 8 years and I built my brand up and it was going really well. But then when COVID happened, all races were shut down. They're still shut down. And so I had to, reevaluate where are my values, what do I want to do with this, and with that, it was honestly the biggest blessing. But I could have looked at it a completely different way, because I think looking back on it now, 2020 was one of the best years that I've had. The amount of people that I connected with, I mean, obviously I wouldn't know either of you at all. And just the amount of love that I received just from, because when everybody is going through a similar thing, the love that is given and received at the same time is 10 times more. Like whenever big tragic things happen, how many people fly out to, like, let's say hurricane relief or anything, people just drop everything to go help other people. It's the same situation.
We found the best in ourselves in worse circumstances.
Correct.
Hey, Brad, good to see you. So
I want to say something to Laura. Your music comes from your soul. And when you are singing, and I see you singing not only online, but when I'm here and
Yeah.
I'm witnessing that, you are talking from your soul directly to somebody else's soul. And I really want you to know that this is a major part of who you are, that affects people in exactly the way that you want to affect people, the joy that you want to bring people. You have a language and an ability to pierce to somebody's soul, that it's a gift. And I want to say thank you that you're in my life and I'm able to witness that and receive this language as a gift that talks to me. And Paul, you know how I feel about you singing. And
Yeah.
you have
That's
that.
what I think you need to get a appointment with an ear doctor.
I knew that was
You know,
coming. I knew
You know,
that was coming.
no, 'cause one of the things I want to say, maybe
Take a compliment, Paul.
maybe
Yes.
Laura can sing something for your dishes.
We're gonna smack him.
I'm about to fart on him.
Go ahead. It wouldn't be the first time. Woo.
Oh my God.
Then he'll have to leave, and you know how to breathe through your mouth, not your nose.
Boys.
So
Boys. Yeah,
Well, I'm
children,
just
children.
playing. I take that as a compliment from you, and no, I do, and we have an opportunity, each one of us, when we say things to make a difference in other people's life. I think a good dose of humor is good.
It's excellent.
You need to laugh. You
Exactly.
need to smile. Don't take yourself so seriously, and be thankful. Be thankful. So, one other question I got for both of you. I'm going to direct it at Laura first. When I first found you and had the occasion to um, view your relationship with your brother, tell me about Richard Jr.
he's just such a love. If there's any pure love in a human being, I find it in him. And his innocence just radiates off of him. Even if he gets upset over something, like let's say if I make him upset because I said something that just triggered him the wrong way, and I say, Richard Jr., I'm so sorry. Do you forgive me? And then he pauses and he's like, after he does this little, he's like, I accept your apology. And it's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
And the trust that he has
Mm.
for the other person, and trusting that they do apologize sincerely, and that they are
Wow.
doing things in a loving way, or they just aren't communicating in the way that he sees fit. But he connects that in a way that I get inspired to do the same thing, not to just immediately go to defense mode or reaction
Wow.
mode, and
Yep.
instead just to allow that peace
You
to
look.
come into.
I've learned about by being around you. You look to be somewhat optimistic about everything. You look at the good side of things. You always try to find something better. What have you learned from Richard Jr.?
To love unconditionally, and what that looks like. And I know he got that a big part from my mother. I mean, she's just a saint. She's gone through so much, and yet she still shows up with love no matter how much people have hurt her. And I think that is how I view God serving us too. Showing up, loving people no matter what they've done, no matter how much they hurt you or other people, and just seeing them for who they are. And it doesn't mean that you have to let them take advantage of you or anything like that, but it's still showing up with love. And that is the biggest blessing, because then you're not harboring all of the negative emotions and you're letting it go. And
Wow.
that's hard to do, especially when it comes to people who may have hurt you in the past.
Well, thanks for sharing that with me. What have you learned from living?
So Paul and I were even talking about it. My husband is always praying. My husband lives a very godly life. He's very, very connected to God. He sees God in everything. And yeah, God is even like we talked about that God is a priority in his life. But with that comes, I mean, it's not a but, right? But obviously, when you are a human being living in a regular world and you are connected with somebody who's so spiritual and is, holy, and there are its challenges, but it is through him that I always saw uh, and learned how to be grateful within the adversity because his faith never was never shook up. I'm going to tell you a tiny little story that
Please.
happened to us that really proves the point. When the market crashed in 2008 and we had lost, we had been doing well beforehand and then we lost everything because we put a lot of money in real estate, and at that time, everything got upside down.
Yep.
We were lying down in bed, looking up to the ceiling, and I said to my husband the following: I feel like I'm in this round hallway with a lot of doors, and I can't get out, and I'm trying to open the doors, and God is on the other side, closing the doors, like not letting me open the doors. And I'm so sad because I feel like I can't get freedom. I can't find a source of income. I can't get that flow. And I'm so sad about it. And I'm so upset and feeling, you know, closed in. And I want you to hear what my husband said. My husband said, I'm in the same hallway with you and I feel so loved. I am so happy. I said, why are you happy? All the doors are closed. And he said, for two reasons. One, because God is right behind the door. Do you see how close he is to us? He didn't forsake us. He's right behind the door. He's so close.
Yep.
And then he said, I think we're trying to open the door the wrong way. We are trying to open the door out. We need to let God in. We're looking for that flow of money for the. We need to open the door towards us and lead the door in. And Levi and I made a decision that night that we created a study group on faith, on just seeing God in our lives. And I promise you that so many good blessings came from that opportunity, that time. And it all started from that conversation. And when you are married to somebody who sees God right behind the door and sees that connection, he can turn that moment of sadness and loneliness to a moment that's so rich. I went from being alone and apart and constricted to a moment that I was so close to God.
I just, in closing, I want to say something to you, Miri, and you, Laura. You have blessed my life so much. I'm so grateful to you and Levy. I call Levy my Levi Strauss guy. And he's just a wonderful blessing, but he's funny too.
Yes.
And it took you so long to fall in love with him, all of 3 days.
No, I fell in love the day one. I controlled
one.
myself till the third day to
And-
propose marriage.
You proposed.
For sure.
Okay, well,
We have to get things done.
She
You
is a
knew
woman
what
who
you
takes
wanted.
charge.
I knew what I wanted,
Yeah,
and I
that's
can
right.
only control what I can
That's
control.
Can I give you a hug?
Yes.
And Laura, my dear friend, I'm telling you, you have made such an impact on my life. And I can't thank you enough. You have been there. You've had to listen to a lot of moaning and groaning as I work my way through my stroke story. You listen to everything and no judgment. You just listen, and you have meant the world to me, and you still do. I just want you to know that I love you, and I'm thankful for you, and I'm grateful for you. And you don't cook a bad egg sandwich after all. And so something to be thankful. And when we get off the show, I'm going to make sure Miri unloads my dishwasher and she's kind to my dishes. That's
And
my
I'll sing to
takeaway.
them
Oh
too
my
while-
God.
while she puts them
You
away.
sing,
Yeah.
you unload, and we're going to be kind to my dishes. We learned that today. Who knew?
Yeah. Because
So,
they give so much.
closing
stuff.
comments. Thank you. Okay.
I'm extremely blessed to be in the presence of these two. Knowing them on a deeper level, being able to be present and here with them. I mean, it means more to me than they probably even know. They've become really good friends of mine, and just their hearts are so pure. Their hearts are so much filled with love. That's just here we go.
One for all for one.
Right,
Yay!
No, but I'm just so blessed and so thankful for them, because again, I would have never met them. Well, I would have never met Paul if COVID didn't happen. So although, like, again, we were talking about just the gratitude through the chaos sometimes. And then without Paul, I would have never met Miri and Levy. So it's one of those things that I can't help but just have a filled heart just with love for you both. And I'm so thankful for just you guys' presence in my life. So thank you.
Thank you. Closing comments?
What a blessing. Life is such a blessing.
Yep.
Every second is such a blessing. We have the opportunities to change and transform the lives of those around us and be an example to others and lead life in a way that we want to show other people that it is good and that it's a blessing, that it's wonderful. We are miracles. We are so gifted. And everything that we all go through is for a purpose.
Yeah.
And we just need to figure it out. And I'm so blessed to be in this journey with all of you together. The two of you, you know what you mean to me. You know, I'm very open about my feelings. And it's not just the two of you, it's the community. It is what we are able to do in today's days with the technology that we have. All of you are now part of my reality. And I'm so grateful for all of you, and obviously my brother and sister.
Well, good luck to you being kind to my
Dishes.
yes, and I'm not going to let it go.
I know you.
Never, ever.
Like Teresa sold a bicycle.
Oh
I
my
didn't
gosh.
let that go either.
And you never will.
Exactly.
You never will.
So we always say, hope
Is on the way.
Hope is on the way. And just look up for your answers. I feel so blessed to have these two amazing, spectacular women in my house. And I'm going to go take a walk with
With Levy.
so I
Get
can.
some testosterone back into your life.
Yeah.
Oh my,
He survived this hour, so I'm
woo,
pretty proud of him. So
I
we should
am
all give
so
him, like, a
proud
round
of
applause.
me. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Woo, man. Got through that.
I'm
Woo.
so proud of you.
Yes, me too.